handling creative block. That's what we're going to tackle this week. Stay tuned. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another vlog with me, Carolyn, from Crafting with Glorious Purpose, where here we make unique and custom gifts for you or for that special someone. This week, we are chugging along, no markets until the first week of December. So we have all of November to just relax. If you watched last week's vlog, we went to our Baldwin show. It wasn't quite what we were anticipating. We did okay, but you know, I still have a list of things that I need to replenish. I still have my list, but there's no rush. Guess I don't have a market, you know. So I will be doing some of that this week, but I wanted to do a little bit of a different video this week. Just to kind of help people out with that creative block. So let's get into that. So I'm sure you know the feeling. You have something in mind that you want to do, or you don't have anything in mind, but you know you want to do something and you can't think of a thing. The well runs dry and you're just sitting there looking at a blank screen, a blank piece of paper, and wondering, what do I do? So we lovingly call that in the art business creative block. So what do you do when you have creative block? So for me, that happens more often than not. I will have a concept or something in my mind, and getting it from here to paper, it's very hard. Or from here to a computer screen is very hard. I will sit, I will draw, I will doodle. I'll have like all these. For me, sometimes it's too many ideas, trying to get it narrowed down into one that makes sense. And it's tough. I mean, it's hard to get that kind of stuff out on paper. And these are like the 5 things that I do to try to get myself out of that rut. Number 1, if you have an idea, but you're unable to get it executed, and you're trying to think of, how do I get that out on paper? This is where I find AI to be helpful. So I use AI very, very minimalistic, I should say. I like drawing my own stuff, and I use them for catchy taglines, or if I'm thinking of something, let's just say for 4th of July, and I'm trying to think of something to do with dogs, I would prompt AI with something like, hey, give me creative prompts or products to make for 4th of July for dogs. And it will give me a bunch of stuff to go through. Most of it won't be usable, but it'll get your brain thinking in another way. So what I do is I use it for the prompts. So I'll type it in and I'll get some really cool ideas of, hey, here's what I could do. I could do a bandana that has this title, or something I've not thought of before. But once you get to that stage, so say I type in and it gives me a bandana or a saying, I immediately go to the trademark website to see if that's something that's trademarked. If it is, then I reword it or try to come up with my own version of it. You never, ever, ever want to use AI exactly the way it is, because it can pull trademarked things. It's just inevitable. And then you get stuck later down the line with, something you can't use. Case in point with black and gold. We're in Steeler country, even though we're not football fans. Black and gold is a big thing for the Pittsburgh area. I cannot say black and gold with an ampersand. It is trademarked by another apparel company or something. So is A-N-D, like different things, but you can use it without, with a hyphen, or you can use it if it's with an N or not the whole word, or so there's different ways that you can say the same thing but not say the trademark, and that's what you need to look for, because you don't want to just use the words. Another one is the word lucky. You can't use the word lucky because that is, I think, a jean company or so. I'm not privy to the fashion, but you can't use that word. So I couldn't just do a bandana that said lucky on it. So this is where, I kind of go through the different prompts that it gives me, and I pull something that I think will give me inspiration in my head of another way that I can make it my own. And that way it kind of gets you one step closer to visualizing what you want and then actually making it. So that's the way that I use AI for helping get some of the creative block that I might have when doing a collection or coming up with a new product. So for number 2, for me, doodling. I pull out the sketch pad and pencil and I just doodle. I do that more often than not. I can do that while watching TV. I do that while I'm sitting at work waiting for things to load. I'm constantly doodling or taking notes or writing things down as they come into my head, because how many times have you walked through a store and went, oh, that would be such a cool thing to do. And then you get home and you forgot about it. And you're like, what was I gonna? So I'll even pull out my phone if I don't snap a picture, because I don't like to be that person in the store snapping pictures of stuff in there. I'll pull out my notes app and I will type in there, what I'm thinking and write it down. That way, then it'll trigger, oh yeah, I remember that. And I can make something with that. So I think of things like that in that aspect where I'm not just copying 100% from that product or whatever it was. Like there's times where I'll be walking through and I'll see a saying and it'll crack me up and I'll be like, that would make an awesome hand towel, or that would make a great sticker or something like that. But I don't use it exactly as is, So I thought of, we were walking through, I forget where it was, and there was a ton of merchandise for Bigfoot. And I didn't have anything Bigfoot in my shop. And I thought, wouldn't that be hysterical? Like I never see any female Bigfoot stuff. It's always male Bigfoot stuff. So I made the Sasquatch, which I'll put here. And that's my sticker that I made for my events. And it gets a lot of reactions. People crack up laughing. But I thought, wouldn't it be funny if Sasquatch had, long lashes on, was in like a pink and white color with a bow in their hair. So yeah. But that was taking something that I saw and making it my own, and not, and then I had to look up to make sure that, Sasquatch and Stay Sassy and all that kind of stuff was not trademarked to put that on my sticker. But that one, there were several iterations for that one. I had different ideas of, her walking or carrying a purse, which I don't. So I couldn't relate, and I was like, no, I'm just going to keep it simple and make it a close headshot. And I sat and redrew that and came up with the, from the shoulders up with, the bow and the pink and then just kind of made it into a sticker. I do want to adapt her for other things because I think it would be great. But yeah, so I mean, you can get a lot of things from just taking notes and from doodling. So if you run into a block, just start drawing something. Like I've drawn inspiration from my own stuff by not even drawing what I was trying to do. Like I'll start with one thing and I'll end up somewhere completely different, but it allows your mind to play and gives you that, it opens it up to, giving you space to breathe and get all the stuff out of there, like work and home and laundry and all that other stuff. And that way you're just focused on creativity, and those juices start to flow, and then things start to happen. So that would be my number 2, would be to doodle or take notes of ideas that you have in your head. So for number 3, I have to kind of bounce ideas off someone else. So I have, like I've always talked about in my videos, my husband and my son are a big part of my creativity. They give me inspiration all the time and encouragement, which is awesome. I'm very excited and so happy and grateful to have them in that aspect. I use them all the time. Even friends, like I have a friend at work that has a dog, and I always bounce ideas with her. So I would say, hey, I have an all dog event coming up. What would you want to see as a dog owner, for whatever? So it's nice to have that, that outlet to be able to talk to somebody else to say, I love that idea, or have you thought about doing this? And you go, oh, yes. Because sometimes people will come to your booth and they have the best intentions, and they'll come in and say, have you thought about, do you make these? Have you thought about making that? And some people take it as them criticizing what's in their booth, and that, oh, look at these people, they're not creative, or they're not a small bit, they don't know. And it's like, but sometimes you have to listen to that audience to get the feedback. So then you can start thinking like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Like a few shows ago, I had somebody ask me, and I have military, I've done a couple things where I did a benefit that was benefit, like I gave some of my proceeds to the Blue Mothers Association. So I did have some military, I had military bandanas, I had military, and that's also a slippery slope too, because you can't say Army, Navy, Marines. That's trademarked. You have to have a license in order to say that. So you can say that you're a military mom or dad or things like that. So I made decals that said military mom, military dad. I made military family stuff. I made, I have a shadow box that has an Army, Navy, well, an Army or a Marine, because it's more of a land base. I have one with a ship for Navy and one with an aircraft for Air Force. But it just is generic enough that it celebrates, the veteran or the actual military person that's in. However, at this last couple shows, I had somebody ask me, do you have any veteran stuff if I was the veteran? And I went, oh, I don't. And what ended up happening is I made that for my next show, and that was the first thing that sold. And I only made one, thinking like, okay, well, I'll test it out. I don't want to get stuck and make a whole bunch of them and nobody buys them. But it was that veteran one that I kind of showed you a few videos ago of me making, and that was a hit. Like, I didn't even think about that. So there might be things that you're not thinking about, and talking to another person or taking feedback from a client or a customer at a show might be the way to go, because that will give you some inspiration, but it will also give you at least a direction that you can kind of make your own from there. So definitely keep that part in mind. So number 4 is leaving it and coming back. I don't know how else to explain this one. So last year, so the collection I'm doing for this year was one I had done for last year. I had probably a good 85% of it ready to go. Inspiration hit for something else, mainly because I hit a roadblock with the current one. I ended up not disliking it. I still love it, which is why I came back to it. I found something else that was quicker and easier, and I ran with it. So that's where the sweet shops came in. I was walking through, I believe it was At Home or Hobby Lobby, I don't remember, and they had their little porcelain houses out, and I was like, oh, that would be so cute. What if I did like North Pole, and each house was something different? One was like a candy cane shop, one was a coffee house, one was, you know, a candy. And I went, okay, I'm in. Like, I'm done. I got it. Like, one's going to be a gingerbread, one's going to be this. They're covered with snow. They're sitting. I can make gift card holders to match. I actually stopped. Like, I had to pick up my son, and I was out for the day. Saw that immediately, instead of just going home, went to Dollar Tree, bought a cheap sketchbook and a pencil, and sat in the car waiting for him, and drew out the entire collection all at once. Got home, started making it. I hit the ground running, and I never stopped. Like, it just kept coming, and the ideas were great. The collection that I'm currently working on, I'm stuck. I have the illustration done. I'm having a hard time figuring out what products to put it on, which is why I shelved it last year. So I'm at the exact same part, but I am not giving up on it this year. I'm going to see it through. So I have, I had the idea in my head, and it was the same thing. I sat and I ran with it, and the illustration came, and it was great, and I couldn't, but I'm at the point where I don't know how to apply it to stuff. Like, I can make it into a sticker. I tried making it a shadow box last year, and it just didn't make any sense. It looked weird. It didn't flow right. It was too intricate in some spots where it just ripped the paper, and I still have it. Like, I didn't throw it away because I wanted to kind of see it when I came back to it for next year. Because I was like, well, then next year I'm one step ahead. I already have the illustration ready to go. So that's where I'm at right now. I've hit another roadblock, and I'm trying to think of new ways to do it. So I am starting a new product, hopefully for next year, but I think I might tease it with this collection for Christmas. So you'll be seeing that very soon. But I want to apply it to that, and then I want to make a sticker for it. So I'm going to do a sticker. I think it would be really great on a mug, and I do think it would look great on a towel. But I would like to have one other, like, I want to do a shadow box for Christmas, because I like doing a Christmas one for every year. And yeah, I'm kind of stuck. I'm trying to figure out the best way to lay this one out to make it look like it makes sense on a shadow box. Last year's came together so quickly because I was like, I can just take one of the houses. That would be great as a silhouette. I had the floating layer inside that had the snowfall. It looked great. I mean, it was perfect. I couldn't have. That collection went to so quick, and this one is the one where I feel like I'm taking a circle and trying to jam it in a square because it doesn't fit. But I'm gonna make it fit. I'm gonna figure out a way to make it fit. So, out of all that rambling, number 4 is just taking a step back and looking at it later. So it may not be what you need right now, but it might be something you can use later. So move it if you can. If you can't, then, you know, revisit the other steps that I had said that might help you out, like talk to another person about it, or, you know, bounce some ideas off of others. But sometimes it's just taking a step away to get clarity on what you need for that project. And that's what I did. I took a whole year off and then came back to it. So we'll see if I can make it happen this year. I'm trying to avoid going to At Home or Hobby Lobby so that I don't get another burst of, oh, I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to shelve it for another year because I really want to use what I've done. I spent a lot of time on it, and yeah, it turned out so cute. I want to use it, and I'm afraid, like I even have like it so that the elements can kind of move around. So I kind of want to do that, but I really like the composition of the way it looks now, that I'm afraid if I move things around, it won't make as much sense. So that's where I'm hesitating, and you'll see in here in the next week or so. But that's what that's what I need to do, is just sit down and actually start applying it to products and seeing what I like about it and what I don't. But definitely sometimes it's just stepping away and coming back to it with a fresh set of eyes that will help and make a huge world of difference. And for number 5, change of scenery. I find that sometimes sitting down here all day at work, and then I try to sit here at lunch and work on something, I'm still in work mode and I'm not in creative mode. So I will, grab my sketch pad or my iPad, and I will go upstairs and I will sit on the couch curled up with a blanket if it's winter. In the summer, I go out and sit on my back porch and take in, everything around me. So a change of scenery could actually do wonders for creative block. So keep that in mind. Maybe even going somewhere and drawing, that would be ideal. Going to a park. We have a little national park. I guess it's like a state park, I guess, not national park, state park, by us, and they have like a little man-made lake, and and if it's nice, you could go out there and do that. I remember one year taking my son there the day before he started school, and we went there and went Bob Ross style and took a whole bunch of acrylic paints and some canvases and just kind of set up a lunch and sat and painted the lake and trees and things like that and had fun. So it was something cool because you could kind of step out of your comfort zone. You're not sitting in the house. And so keep that in mind. I mean, another room, another building, outside, in the car. I do that at karate. So that, to me, when I'm sitting in the car, I get a lot done because I'm isolated and by myself. I can put my radio on as loud as I want and just kind of do my thing. So number 5 for me would be change of scenery. So I'm hoping that list helps you out. Nobody wants to have creative block, but sometimes it happens. When you're doing a lot of, household things and work things and trying to balance everything, it's hard to turn that off and jump into a mode where you're just completely free to do whatever you want. And sometimes less is more. So you'll have so many things going on and you need to kind of channel it down to one. So creative block is a real thing for an artist, but then again, a lot can come out of that when you're stuck. Once that's released and the ideas start flowing, the end result is usually pretty awesome. So I hope that this helps you out. I would love to hear what you guys do for creative block. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you do. Those are the top 5 things that I do to kind of, besides sneaking in some chocolate and snacks. But let me know what else you're thinking or your thoughts are, or if you've tried any of these, I would appreciate it. I will catch you next week, and we will be one step closer to releasing our holiday collection. So I will catch you then. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next week. Bye, everybody.